Welcome to episode 057 of the Bit Beacon broadcast. It's October 20th, 2024. I'm recording this a day earlier than I normally would because this Monday, maybe the time you're listening to this podcast, I will be having my wisdom teeth removed. Just my bottom two. Not super excited about this process, but I'll need a few days of recovery. And that means no recording Bit Beacon broadcast stuff. I don't think I'll be doing a whole lot of talking while my mouth is recovering. So I wanted to put this out a day early and share with y'all what's been going on in the world of video games this week. First up, I want to talk about a couple purchases, really just one purchase of two of the same things. And it's not a video game, but it is the PlayStation DualSense Edge stick module. The DualSense Edge is Sony's premium PlayStation 5 controller, and it's very expensive, and I normally never buy one, but one's coming included with my bundle, my 30th anniversary bundle of the PlayStation Pro that I was able to secure. So I thought, you know what, I better get some of these stick modules, which are pretty hard to track down. I actually ordered these separately within a week of each other on Target. I had stock alerts turned on, and so I'd get an email every time they came in stock, but most of the time I wasn't on my phone, so I usually missed them. But I was able to get one and then another about a week apart from each other. And so these stick modules, what you can do is when your controller stick kind of craps out after, so long of use, you can pop it out and pop in a new stick module, lock it back in place, and boom, you're ready to go again. So I think that's pretty neat. I like the trend of more consumer things having replaceable parts, easily replaceable parts. So I'm excited about the DualSense Edge. I mean, I normally never would have purchased one, but at least this way, I'll have one controller hopefully for the rest of PlayStation 5, and fingers crossed it might even be usable on PlayStation 6. We'll see how that goes. DualSense Edge stick modules. These retail for $20 a pop, which I do think is a little pricey. As for what I've been playing, I said last week I was playing through the expansions for Dragon Age Inquisition 2014 game. The expansions, I think most of them all came out in 2015. And I only had one expansion left to play, and that was the Trespasser expansion, which basically serves as a major epilogue for the game. It's set 2 years after the events of Inquisition, and Trespasser puts you in this role of going to almost like a political summit of some kind, where the world of Thedas is figuring out what to do with the Inquisition now that its purpose has been served. And so ultimately things go a little sideways, and you end up having to do this investigation. Along the way, actually really mostly just near the end of the story, you make some major choices that are presumably going to shape Dragon Age the Veilguard pretty significantly in some ways. So with Dragon Age the Veilguard coming up, it's one of the main reasons I wanted to play it. I had heard about Trespasser, I heard people say it was amazing, and it really does live up to the hype. There's a lot of great new character interactions to experience, and the actual gameplay itself is pretty challenging with some of the boss fights. I'm glad I finally got around to playing it. Not much more to say, other than that, it did feel consequential, while maybe the other two DLCs felt like you weren't doing a whole lot of choice making. Dragon Age is really known for being a series where decisions you make in the moment have repercussions, both good and bad, over the duration of the game. Now, not every decision you make is a major important decision, but something small could have an impact on maybe whether one random villager in a city gets, is alive or dead or inhabited by a demon or something like that. And it's been fun to see some of those choices you make throughout the game series kind of like play out in different interesting ways. Now, Dragon Age the Veilguard is doing something a little controversial, where instead of importing your save state, let me backtrack a little bit here. For Dragon Age 1, 2, and 3, so Dragon Age Origins, Dragon Age 2, and Dragon Age Inquisition, those are the first 3 games, you had this tool where you could upload your save data to, and it would basically remember all your choices, and it was called Dragon Age Keep. Dragon Age Inquisition, the next game, 10 years later, is not using Dragon Age Keep. So, understandably, a lot of players are kind of annoyed by that because people have been crafting their perfect world state of Dragon Age, and unfortunately, it's being somewhat ignored. Now, the developers have said there will be a handful of choices that the game will ask you questions at the beginning when you start, basically saying, what did you decide to do here? What did you decide to do here? What did you decide to do here? What did you do here? And it'll let you also recreate your character from 1 or 2 of the previous games, I'm not sure. So you will be able to incorporate some of the major choices, but unfortunately, a lot of the small choices that have had an impact throughout the series are unfortunately just going to be ignored for whatever reason with the Veilguard, which I do think is a loss for the series. That was what kind of drew me to Dragon Age so much, was all the minutia was being recorded, was being taken care of. But I guess maybe by this point, after 15 years of Dragon Age, the 4 games, it just got to be too much for the developers to try to recognize and have meaningful representation for all the little choices that players have made over the years. Still, I think that's unfortunate. I would have much preferred if they had gone the extra mile to incorporate all of that. They said something about wanting not just to have little cameos, but have like meaningful choices. And I'm like, well, I mean, to me, those choices were never about having like a little fun cameo to make you smile. I mean, sure, sometimes it was that, but I don't know. It just really helped get you into like, wow, this is my world. The choices I'm making with my player characters are having like a butterfly effect style impact throughout one game to the next game and to the next game. So yeah, I guess I'm bummed, but I'm hopeful this is just a one game only thing, and maybe they're going to start tracking decisions again with this game. I mean, gosh, I really hope it doesn't take 10 years to make another Dragon Age game. That's ridiculous. They need to have a Dragon Age team, and they need to have a Mass Effect team. The Dragon Age team should not be moving on to the Mass Effect game. They should be moving on to the next Dragon Age game. Anyways, I know Dragon Age right now is mired in some controversy regarding the reveal, regarding the companion characters and whether people like them or not or whatever. So I really just hope this isn't the end for Dragon Age. I'm supporting it on day one. I'm going to play it pretty quickly, I think. I don't know. I might wait for my PlayStation 5 Pro because that version, Dragon Age the Veilguard, is going to have a native PlayStation 5 Pro compatibility and have extra graphical options available to make the game more enjoyable. So I may wait, 2-3 weeks till that device arrives in my hands. Okay, so the next thing I've been playing Pokemon Violet and Pokemon Home, almost more specifically, was what I've been playing. So last week, Game Freak announced that if you completed the Pokemon Home Pokedexes for Paldea, Blueberry Academy, and Kitakami. So Paldea is the main region from Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, and Blueberry Academy and Kitakami are the 2 expansion areas that they added to the game post-launch. Each of these areas have their own Pokedex, right? But what Pokemon Home expects you to do is, from those 3 regions, actually catch every Pokemon from those regions and transfer it into Home, even if just for a moment. So just because I already have an Electabuzz from Kanto that I caught on my old Game Boy Advance games, that doesn't give me Pokemon Home credit for having caught it in the Blueberry Academy wild area. So what that means is that I have to go capture every single Pokemon in the Pokedex and transfer it to home and transfer it back. Now, why would you want to do this? This sounds like a real tedious process. Well, you're right. It was really tedious, but I did finish it this week, and thankfully I had like 60% of it already done. Just from the Pokemon I had in my boxes, I just transferred all of them to home and then transferred them back into my game. And then it gave me basically a checklist of what I was missing. And so it probably took about a dozen hours to get it all done. But once I did, I was given a special mystery gift of a shiny Meloetta, which has never, ever been available, whether Pokemon Go or any of the video games. So Meloetta is a mythical Pokemon from Generation 5, I believe. So I do suspect it'll possibly become available in Pokemon Go through a Masterwork research next year. Maybe it might be Victini. I'm not sure what they're going to do. Yeah, so I got Shiny Meloetta finally. They said this is going to be the first in a series of Pokemon Home Pokedex completion rewards. So I'm fully expecting another reward for completing the Pokemon Legends Arceus Hisui Dex. I'm expecting another one for Sword and Shield. And then I'm expecting another one probably for Let's Go. I think those are all of them. I think there is a Pokemon Go Pokedex inside of Pokemon Home, but I doubt there will be any reward for that because that dex is not even fully available by a long shot at this point. Now, it could be maybe many years from now, but Pokemon Go is always going to be expanding its available roster of Pokemon, whereas these Switch games, once they're kind of feature complete and they're not getting content anymore, whatever Pokemon are available to be caught naturally in the wild there are the only ones that are going to be available to be caught naturally wild there, and that's going to be it. So anyways, I've kind of preemptively already started figuring out what I need to get for the Hisui Dex, what I need to get for the Sword and Shield Dex, what I need to get for the Kanto Dex. And it's not too bad in Sword and Shield. It's not too bad in Hisui. I do have a lot of work to do in the Let's Go games, unfortunately, so I will need to take that one a bit more seriously. But yeah, so I think over the next couple weeks while I'm waiting for maybe Dragon Age or whatever big game I'm going to play next, I'll keep chipping away at those so I'm kind of already in a good position when those future distributions do get announced. The mystery gift distributions with the special shiny mythicals, presumably. Okay, so let's jump into the news. This week, Takashi Mochizuki of Bloomberg is reporting that Bandai Namco has canceled multiple game projects and is moving affected employees to expulsion rooms. So in these expulsion rooms, employees are given no work and instructed to wait for a future assignment. These rooms are a result of Japan's strict labor laws, which protect workers from being fired outright for no reason. These expulsion rooms are common in Japanese corporations and are known for being an effective method at getting employees to resign voluntarily, while also helping the corporation avoid paying employees any severance. Pretty scummy. Oftentimes, employees will spend their time in these expulsion rooms looking for other jobs while still being paid by the current employer. I mean, that doesn't sound like the worst thing in the world. At least, you're still being paid and you're basically given the opportunity to look for something in the meantime. But hopping from one job to the next job is not common practice in Japan and can often leave an unwanted mark on your resume. Employees are expected to stay with one company for much of their professional career. This makes it more challenging for employees sent to the expulsion rooms to find jobs. Reportedly, 200 employees were moved to these expulsion rooms, and nearly 100 employees have already resigned, so it's working to Bandai Namco's benefit. In a statement to Bloomberg, Bandai Namco denies the reports of employees being sent to expulsion rooms, but confirmed that some employees are waiting for reassignment due to canceled projects. Bandai Namco shuttered smartphone game Tales of the Rays and MMO Blue Protocol over the past summer. Multiple licensed anime games have also been released to little fanfare and low sales, such as Sandland, Spy X Family, and Jujutsu Kaisen. Two of the unannounced games that have ceased production include a Naruto title and a One Piece title. And the third game was one commissioned by Nintendo, rumored to be a remaster/remake of Kid Icarus Uprising from the Nintendo 3DS. Now I'm scratching my head as to why they would cancel their in-development Nintendo game. Presumably Nintendo is funding the development, so what risk is there really to Bandai Namco? Unless the terms Bandai Namco agreed to with Nintendo wouldn't actually be enough to cover the costs and produce a significant income for them, which would be a major oversight on their part and really seems unlikely to me. I mean, we know Bandai Namco and Nintendo have a really close working relationship. Bandai Namco has made such games as Super Smash Brothers, Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, which is like the biggest selling fighting game of all time. And then we have, new Pokemon Snap was also created by them, or developed by them. It's just kind of like, I don't know, they seem to be in a good position. I can't fathom. This is the only thing that I question from the report. Why would they cancel a Nintendo project? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, there's just no way. I don't know. But I mean, maybe it's possible. I just don't understand why it would be logically from a financial perspective to do something like that. Again, unless Bandai Namco agreed to do it for little money and then found out that, hey, we're not even going to break even on this somehow. But that to me just feels like something they go back to Nintendo and go like, hey man, we're great partners. We need to renegotiate this, or we can't do it. And I gotta imagine to cancel a project that they already agreed to do with Nintendo, that's gotta look bad. So Bandai has been relying too heavily on other intellectual property in recent years. Like, they're constantly churning out these anime games that I don't know who's buying them or who's playing them or if they're even really selling that well. It doesn't sound like it. Now, that being said, they do have a really lucrative relationship with the Dragon Ball franchise. They do make, it seems like every other year, there's a new Dragon Ball game. And right now, the new Dragon Ball Z Budokai game came out. And there hasn't been a Budokai game in at least a decade. And it sold more than 3 million copies in less than 24 hours. So it's good to see that they can still get a hit. But I do feel like it is relying on, the Dragon Ball IP rather than anything that they actually own. Bandai Namco has Pac-Man. They've got Tekken. They've got Digimon. They've got Soul Calibur. They've got Ridge Racer and, more that I'm, not mentioning. And they need to utilize these better than they have been. Fans have been clamoring for a new Digimon Stories title. Digimon Stories is like a sub-series of the Digimon, world and games. And, we haven't had a new Stories title since, I want to say 2014 or 2015. It's just really kind of ridiculous. Stop making those anime games that no one's asking for, and make stuff that you own that you don't have to pay some crazy licensing fee to, and so you can keep more of the money for your own company, ensure your vital health. This is Bandai Namco is precious. We need to protect them, and they need to stop making silly decisions. And if you got staff sitting around to do nothing, you need to stop waiting for an anime project. You need to make a game that you can make whenever you want. You don't need to wait around for a project when you own the IP. Do something with it. Come on. Ridge Racer, people. Ridge Racer. Let's go. Okay. Next story is Analogue. You guys remember Analogue? They made the Analogue Pocket, that wonderful Game Boy-like device that plays Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, and through adapters, Neo Geo Pocket Color, and Sega Game Gear and more cartridges. And then it also, through their Open FPGA program, can play other consoles as well. So yes, Analogue announced their next new project, the Analogue 3D. The Analogue 3D is compatible with Nintendo 64 cartridges. In fact, they guarantee 100% compatibility even with games that originally required the N64 expansion pack, which is virtually built into the Analogue 3D. The device will be region-free, meaning you can play Japanese imports without having to disassemble the cartridges. All accessories such as original controllers or anything else that plugs into the console's controller slots will function as well. Time to say hey you to Pikachu with your N64 voice recognition unit. The Analogue 3D will upscale your games to 4K and promises zero lag or signal degradation like what you normally see with those red, yellow, and white cables that when you plug those into an HD TV, it's doing like some crazy conversion stuff, and that basically adds a bunch of input lag and signal degradation, so it doesn't look very good. The Analogue 3D promises to do away with all of that. They've also partnered with controller maker 8BitDo to create a modern controller for N64. All the buttons you expected from an N64 controller are there, and just a more comfortable, modern form factor with Bluetooth connectivity. Unfortunately, no support in the new controller for things like the transfer pack, but you can plug your original N64 controller in for that. So the transfer pack, if you ever played Pokemon Stadium, it came with this transfer pack that you could plug into the back of your controller, and then you could slide in your Game Boy red, blue, yellow, gold, silver, crystal cartridge, and then you could import the games, import your Pokemon to use them in the games, and you could even, using the Game Boy Tower, the Dodrio Tower, the Doduo Tower, you could even play your games on the big screen on your CRT TV back in the day. So the 8BitDo controller that they're developing is not going to have that functionality, but like they said, you can still plug in your classic N64 controller and your transfer pack and do it that way. I do wonder, given the modern hardware, if they might have a way for you to put your Pokemon save file onto the maybe the SD card of the Analogue 3D, so that you can import it that way. I don't know, we'll see. I'm sure they might have some fun stuff cooking to do that. Because if you don't have a transfer pack and original controller, like the Pokemon Stadium games are kind of meh, if you ask me. Like, it's really important to be able to bring your Pokemon into the game. The controller will also support rumble and turbo functionality, the 8BitDo controller. It also features a Hall effect joystick, just one because this is an N64 controller we're talking about, which means no more stick drift. So, like my DualSense Edge controller, if Sony just put the Hall effect the game stick into the controllers, we wouldn't have the problem that we do with the drift from the controller sticks. But Sony basically wants to make a product that becomes obsolete, so you have to buy a new one. So that's why they do it that way. But at least with the Edge, you're not buying a whole $80 to $200 controller every time one of your sticks goes bad. You can just pop in the new stick. So, I don't know. It's better than nothing, I guess. So, the Analogue 3D will feature a new proprietary operating system known as 3DOS. This is an evolved version of the operating system found on the Analogue Pocket. 3DOS will allow for save states, screenshots, and display modes that replicate the CRT TVs the games were designed to be played on. Analogue has a lot to say about this topic, so let me read their copy. Unlike its 2D predecessors, the N64 wasn't just about pixels. The original hardware's distinctive approach to rendering polygons and textures depends on the CRT far more critically than simpler 2D systems. Even game developers had to leverage the interplay between the hardware and a CRT to achieve harmony. While a very few modern upscalers have transformed the 2D era of video games with pixel-perfect clarity, the N64 demands something far more radical, the unmistakable essence of a CRT. Analogue 3D brings true CRT reference quality to your HD TV and 4K. Experience the N64 with unmatched authenticity and zero lag. It's the N64 reborn. Analogue 3D's original display modes are meticulously reproduced, virtually indistinguishable recreations of CRT displays, capturing the warmth, depth, and texture in every frame. The soft glow of the phosphor and vibrant colors unite with immersive scan lines and shadow masks. This isn't just upscaling. It's an unprecedented transformation. So as you can see, they're very flowery with their words there, and they sound a little snooty when they say all this, but I believe them when they say it. I mean, I've experienced their products firsthand, and they really do deliver remarkable results. So the Analogue 3D goes up for pre-order on October 21st. That's tomorrow for me, and my estimation at a very reasonable $250 US. By the time you're hearing this, it's likely that their initial batch of pre-orders has probably already sold out, that you can visit their store, that's store.analogue.co, to check for yourself. The hardware will be available in the same black and white colors that the Pocket was originally available in. Since the Pocket's original release, many limited edition colors and translucent variants have been made available for sale. I suspect if you're patient enough to wait until 2026 or 2027, you can probably get your hands on a colored version of the Analogue 3D. There's no word on exactly when these units will begin shipping, but they have said Q1 of 2025, so you're looking at most 4 to 5 months of wait probably before you get this into your hands if you order one. Now, will I be pre-ordering, or did I pre-order one? No. I think $250 isn't a very attractive price point for what this offers, even more so when you consider that the original N64 cost $400 in today's money, but launched for $200 in 1996. Instead, I'll be waiting a couple years to grab one of the limited edition colors further down the line. At my Analogue Pocket, I have the clear one, the translucent clear, and I think I would want to wait for the Analogue 3D and translucent clear to really justify making a purchase there for myself. I know I'm going to want one of the translucent ones. The N64 was known for having some really cool translucent colors, and so there's just no way they're not eventually going to make something like that for this. So I will wait patiently. I'm busy enough with the games I got right now. Alright, I've got one more story for you guys. And this week it's PlayStation made a big announcement. Sony and PlayStation have announced a massive concert series called PlayStation The Concert World Tour. They are promising concerts at more than 200 different cities across Europe, the United Kingdom, the United States, and beyond. The tour will kick off in Dublin, Ireland on April 25th before making its way through the UK and many cities in Europe. Dates for the United States are not yet available, but promise to come later. Tickets are already on sale for the first batch of European dates. Interested attendees can sign up for email updates on future dates by visiting the concert website, which is really long, so just Google it. Sony is promising a state-of-the-art production that combines thrilling music, cutting-edge visuals, and legendary video game titles into an unforgettable experience. Games to be featured at the concert include The Last of Us, Horizon Zero Dawn, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, and more. So what is that and more going to be? No clue, they haven't said. But I hope we get some Astrobot, some Uncharted, music from older series as well. The current list of games are all very serious and gritty and drama-y, and so I hope we can just get some fun, whimsical stuff in there too. I mean, PlayStation's history is more than just the last 5 years, and it feels like this is almost like, oh hey, let's promote a bunch of games that are going to be getting sequels over the next, few years. That's what this kind of feels like to me. So unless that and more is significant other stuff, I will be bummed. Initially, the list of dates included a date before the Dublin show at the Hollywood Bowl. Unfortunately, the listing went down and tickets never went up for sale. I was getting hyped and ready to jump on some tickets for the Hollywood Bowl, but then it just disappeared. I hope that the Hollywood Bowl show does eventually resurface, even if it's not like the kickoff show like they said it was going to be. It would be a tremendous venue for a show like this. I know I've seen some recent footage of a Marvel concert series that I believe friend of the show, Ben, attended, and they do some really awesome stuff with, I think they call it projection mapping, where they use really high-end projectors to put stuff on the walls and really almost make the concert come alive in a crazy way. So we know for sure that the Hollywood Bowl is capable of doing some really epic stuff like that. So my hope is that if this Hollywood Bowl show does resurface, that they really incorporate that kind of technology into the show to make it, one of a kind. And that would be a show where a lot of the composers would be able to attend because a lot of them are in California or the LA area. There'll probably be a lot of developers there. So it would be a fun place to, I think, sort of have a meet and greet mingle kind of vibe. So anyways, fingers crossed that date comes back, and I will definitely try to be there. End transmission.